conservation of animal genetic resources is facing new challenges, and the first concrete result is, like in any networking project, a network of relevant Nordic stakeholders that was created to face these challenges. In 2023, Nordic countries celebrate already 40 years of collaboration in conservation of animal genetic resources. In the past, conservation of animal genetic resources has been based mostly on living animal populations. Gene banking of genetic diversity in liquid nitrogen tanks in form of reproductive and somatic cell tissues, so-called cryoconservation, has become crucial to avoid the loss of genetic diversity, and we need to find the best solutions to do it fast. In NordFrost project, the focus has been to enhance cryoconservation of genetic diversity within Nordic farm animal breeds. NordFrost steering group has representatives from Denmark, Finland, and Norway, but the network acts on the entire Nordic region. The second concrete result is the series of webinars, study trip, and workshops that have been organized to gather information concerning the best practices and knowledge gap in cryoconservation of animal genetic resources. Our first webinar was titled Why Gene Banking, and it was organized in June 2021. And it was organized to boost the cryoconservation activity in Nordic countries. We had 6 invited speakers, group discussions, and around 70 participants around Europe. This webinar was the first step to establish networking activities within and across Nordic countries among stakeholders in research, advisory service, technical service, and policymakers to support development of Nordic collaboration. The second webinar was organized in December 2021. The focus was on the possibilities and challenges of cryoconservation and genetic diversity in animals and also in plants in Finland. We had 4 invited speakers, group discussions, and around 60 participants from Finland alone. The third event was a study trip to UK for the NordFrost steering group and Nordic farm animal group to find out how well-functioning cryobanks are established and managed. Also, our aim was to extend our views and to get new collaborations outside Nordic region. The 4th events were physical workshops that were titled Conservation of Animal Genetic Resources towards Conserving Nordic Livestock Diversity and NordFrost Hands-on Workshop. And these workshops were organized in April 2023 here in Norway at NMBU. During these workshops, the challenges and the success stories of Nordic animal genetic resources gene banking met the possibilities of cutting-edge technologies already applied outside the Nordic region. There were around 50 participants around Europe that came physically to the meeting. The hands-on workshop focused on educating the Nordic stakeholders to collect and freeze reproductive samples in their own countries. Based on the webinars, study trip, and the workshops, NordFrost project has been able to produce the third concrete result, which are the guidelines that describe how safeguarding of Nordic farm animal genetic resources can be done. We have introduced implementation of new cutting-edge technologies and skills for gene banking of animal genetic resources, which has allowed us to rescue the remaining genetics of Faroese cattle, and also it will allow us to rescue the genetic diversity of Faroese horse. And because of these success stories, there is an increasing interest and activity towards these technologies also in other countries. Currently, we are able to work with species such as cattle, horse, sheep, goats, chicken, and honeybees. One very important concrete outcome also is a previewed paper or papers that will be produced based on all the information that we have gathered during the project along with the guidelines. And I have to say that we are very happy to notice that NordFrost project has already become a concept among European stakeholders. we hear about that often. We don't have a pan-Nordic gene bank for the animal genetic resources like there is one for the plants. So we are hoping that by all the information that we have gathered in the webinars and in the visits and in the workshop, that now we can sort of find out what is the best way to have this gene bank. In Nordic countries, we share the climate, and subsequently our animal genetic resources have similar adaptation history. Each Nordic country has its strengths and weaknesses from which the other countries can learn from. There are differences between countries how the gene banking of animal genetic resources has been organized so far. Both the number of animals and the scientists are small in each country alone. We think that together we are stronger. And networking also enables joint future research proposal, funding, and then better results, in my mind. Personally, as a scientist, I think that it's more fun to work together with others than to work alone, and you get more results, you get better results. And collaboration also enables bigger perspective, larger data sets, joint research proposal, funding, more funding and more publications.